Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode, the second episode of Never Chalked of the season. I'm your host, ScaroDB, with my co-host, Volts, aka Chandler of TGE Brand. We are doing another part of our recap of Major 3, following OpTic's big win in Toronto.
Hey,
and then
Drew, I am hearing a little bit of an echo from you, brother.
You're hearing an echo?
Yeah.
Hold up. That sucks.
It doesn't show you muted on the stream. Just check that out maybe.
Oh, it
Little
unmuted.
technical difficulties, ladies
Oh, we're
and
good
gentlemen.
now, right?
Yeah, we are all good.
It unmuted me in Discord for whatever reason. Sorry about that. So I think stream didn't hear it. Only you were hearing it, which would have been super annoying.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Sorry
we're
to point
good
that
now.
out to everybody.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good. But no, we got a great show tonight. We're breaking down again our final reactions from Major 3. Big win for opticgaming, OpTic Texas.
Yeah.
And then we've got a few more topics we're going to dive into. We got our team of the week, or team of the major, rather. We've got our power rankings going into the Stage 4 qualifiers. And then we've got some exciting stuff to dive into towards the end of the episode as it relates to Call of Duty. So,
yeah.
I say we go right into this, this coverage, diving into the reaction from Major 3. I know we pretty much did an entire episode already. Unfortunately, that episode was not able to be uploaded for people to go back and watch. We had a slight goof where we forgot to turn on VODs to be saved. So unfortunate, but you'll hear our reviews here in a little bit of a quicker fashion. But as I said, OpTic Texas, they were able to get the big W, kind of silence the doubters, if you will, about whether they'd be able to win a major with their new roster consisting of Dashy, Shotzzy, Pred, and Kenny. They did it in very impressive fashion. From losers bracket, they took out subliners on Sunday, followed that up by taking out atlfaze, and then beat torontoultra very convincingly in the grand finals at their home major. So, if you want to give your final thoughts from the major, whether it's specifically about Championship Sunday or just any teams that stood out to you, balls in your court, my guy.
All right. Well, I know we talked a little bit about Seattle Surge a bit. We talked about LAT. You know who I really like to point out is Minnesota Rocker.
It's an interesting take. I like it.
Yeah, because we didn't touch much on them. They went from such an impressive run at Major 1 and even like a respectable run at Major 2, right? Where it was like, bottom 8 team that potentially could have been in the running for top 4, at some point, because they made it to top 4 and it was like, oh, they're clearly the 5th best team, or it's between them and Legion at the time. That's another topic altogether. But they made the changes that they made, and quite honestly, they just kind of got worse. And who I feel the most sorry for is Lens, because I don't know if it's kind of like a role change, not so much as like where everybody thinks like, oh, I go from SMG to AR. No, what I think is Lens is not able to fully do what he wants to do on the map, because that's kind of what Standy wants to do, right? And Standy has that credibility of like, I'm the roaming slayer. And, so I'm thinking Lens is kind of trying to take a back seat, and it's not unlocking Lens's full potential. With Vivid, you had a guy that just runs around and he's like, hey, no, you can do what you want to, man. I'm going to play how I know how to play, and this is how I've been playing, and they complemented each other well. Not saying Vivid was the best SMG pairing for Lens ever.
I was going to say, I feel like both of them aren't necessarily the best pairing for Lens.
But they were definitely a better pairing than Lens and Standy.
Yeah, well, that, and then on top of that, the whole AR situation they got going on, that's a whole other issue we can discuss. Accuracy is somehow
Yep.
still on the roster this far into the season. The only change they made at that position was benching and I guess also releasing Awakening and then putting Gunless in his place, who hasn't been bad and was doing very well in challengers up until this point. But I think it's just very clear that every single series at this point, it's pretty much accuracy dropping a 0.7. And again, we've said it before. You don't have to be having a 1.2 KD to be having an impact on the map. But when you play as slow as he does, and you're dropping a 0.7,
yeah, it doesn't work.
It's just, it doesn't complement. You've got two SMGs that want to run around and be fast and quick on the map, and you've got the slowest AR. Like, it's just a really weird roster dynamic. And as you can see, they're still in champs contention. They're in that 8th slot. But if they don't start turning things around, they're going to be in those bottom 4 teams that don't make it.
Right. And, kind of going into that, you and I had kind of talked about at one point. You remember the whole Illy situation with Surge? And then there was, at one point, Hook was in that conversation of being dropped alongside Illy. And I said, man, yeah, that would probably be a great roster of Accuracy, Illy, Hook, and Lens. Like, I was like, that's a great, almost kind of like a Walmart brand or off-brand torontoultra, just by the way, the play styles of everybody, But Accuracy has definitely taken a step back from that Major 1. And it's not just like any step back, like it's drastic. He went from like a 0.96, which was very respectable for what he presents to the table, to like what you said, like a 0.74. And that's just not good enough. Like, it's not at the end of the day.
No, it's not going to get it done.
He brings other qualities. He does.
He's a leader, for sure.
He's a leader, especially outside of the game. And inside the game, he's willing to sit the hill. He's willing to call the shots and live and die by that. But right now, if you're not dropping a 0.9, and your teammates aren't all dropping the 1.2s, then your 0.7s are not going to get anything. You're not going to accomplish anything. Now, 100%. If your teammates were all dropping, 1.1s, 1.2s, then absolutely, your 0.7s wouldn't matter. No one would care about that. But that's just not the case. And right now, it just seems like the Standy show, and, that is another
We've seen this a few times, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah, it just doesn't. And I'm almost fearful too that they're bringing back Standy and what's going to happen with Lens in that situation. But that's another topic altogether. Yeah. I have an exercise for you. I just thought of rapid fire. We're gonna take the bottom 8 teams and each name one change we would make if we would that we think would make this team better.
Okay.
I'll let you start with Miami Heretics.
I know this might sound a little crazy, but I personally, going into this next split, I would say don't make a change. You had a really good run at the stage, at the major. Real's your best player by far. He's really being the difference maker. No point in changing things up unless it starts looking like things are bad again.
Right. I'm going to move on to Seattle Surge, and although I do think Brezzy kind of brings out the best in Abuza, ideally I would say bring in Illy. Obviously, that's probably not going to be the case, but I think if Seattle were to bring in Cammy for Brezzy, man, what would that do to that team?
Yeah, I think that could be an interesting move for sure. I was gonna say
LAT.
It sucks. Yeah, I'll do LAT, but it sucks that the Illy thing is probably not likely, just because I think they now released him. It's not just benched, so that's probably out the window.
Yeah, if it was Illy though, my God, they would definitely be in the running for top 4. Like,
yeah, that's still gonna go down as one of the head scratching moves of this entire season. LAT, call me crazy, but I am fully on board with almost doing like a phase black kind of roster alongside Ghosty. So putting Kremp and Nasty, I don't know if you bench them or get rid of them or whatever, and elevating Exceed and Brack
Dang,
and
that's
having
a
that be
big
your
change.
roster. It's a lot of change. You're pretty much only keeping Ghosty and Joe Deceives from your initial roster. But I just think those FC Black guys are frying, and Joe Deceives is in better form, and obviously Ghosty's doing his thing. So
Yeah,
I think that'd be fire.
that would be good. Minnesota Rocker. First, I'm choosing between accuracy and gunless.
Yeah.
Okay, and you choose one and you move on from the other. And I was gonna say the same thing as bringing in a guy like Brack. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Brack, but bringing in a guy like Brack, yeah, that elevates this team.
Yep, for sure. My Carolina Royal Ravens. I see how you set me up there.
Yeah.
Like Miami, I would say no change at this time. Things have been looking a lot better, but I would be on the lookout to potentially change Fellow moving forward, if anything, just because his performance online compared to LAN is so indifferent, and they need every point that they can get. They can't just not get online points because they don't want to.
And it sucks because that feels like scapegoating him with how
It
well he's
does.
done on LAN, but it just is the reality. Like
Yep.
if it was a matter of making champs or not, that's the move you make, right? I mean,
Yeah.
all right. Las Vegas Legion, bring Purge back next.
Easy. Yeah.
Easy. Bring Purge back.
Gosh, LAG. I mean, they've been making so many moves. I can't even think of a move that's saving this team. Honestly,
No, unless you somehow was able to truly pack a punch in AR, I guess, because Estriel and Flames is nice together.
Yeah.
I probably keep Diamond Con.
Yeah.
So
who's the other
who does that
SMG
leave?
on that team?
It's Estriel and Flames.
Oh, I thought Flames was AR.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, because he replaced the Assault.
Oh, so it's Fame on the SMG.
Fame. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, maybe I would think about moving Flames to the SMG and bringing in like some kind of nasty flex, but
yeah, maybe that maybe Cammy Awakening. I don't know if you want someone who can just slay out, because I just feel like this is a team that doesn't have a Slayer.
Yeah. Well, Flames is your closest one, but
right.
Okay. Well, Boston Breach. Squad wipe.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what you do if you're Boston.
Well, I'll tell you what they'll tell you. They'll say keep Snoopy, and yeah, but if anything,
Snoopy has so much potential, dude. He does.
Yeah,
I will give them that. Who are you bringing in that's going to unlock that? Because you tried Slasher, who is notoriously good at like unlocking potential, and that didn't even work.
I'll tell you,
the only guy that, man, everybody's going to think I'm tripping because he's on a team and he's on your team.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, you have to bring in Clayster.
Literally, like trade for Clayster somehow, or
like make that trade for Clayster. You give up Priesta, I guess, is what you would have to do for that.
Yeah, not that Carolina would take this,
or Beans. And I mean, if I'm Boston, I'd probably try and keep Beans if possible.
No, Beans has been very good for them. I'm gonna give him that. He had a lot of flack going into this year from last year because people thought like his comms are terrible. He doesn't play well on the map. He kind of just plays for kills, but he's been their most solid player since coming onto the roster.
I got it, man. You get Crim6 out of retirement.
Literally, right. It's going to take that type of move.
It takes a player of that caliber that's just not going to take the shit that Snoopy puts this team through. And this is not me blaming Snoopy for everything, because he's not the only one to blame on this Boston Breach team.
No.
But
I was going to say, I think the pentagram experiment has run its course.
Which sucks, because I was a very big fan of the pentagram move. I thought that he deserved it. At this point,
it's the roster. I don't think it's him.
It's the full roster, and at this point, I just think you ride the wave. Like, you just ride this wave of these 4 players, see if they can get some sort of chemistry, and if not, you choose your best 1 or 2 players and you say goodbye to the others.
Yep.
And move on. And that includes Snoopy. Like if they truly, they need to really truly evaluate Snoopy. I know we're spending a lot of time on Boston Breach. Sorry, people, but if
it's worth it,
if Snoopy is not like the guy that you think he is, build around someone else. Build around Beans. I mean,
yeah.
Come on, if you think Pentagram has the potential, get him a team that he can truly play around. Him playing the SMG with he is not the type of SMG that complements Snoopy. He's just not.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would, to me, he would need somebody like Standy.
Yeah. All right. But, so I mean, I think that was a good exercise. I like that.
Yeah.
I know the show is called Never Chalked, but Boston Breach, if you don't have a good split, it is chalked for me, at least for making champs.
No, we can't say that, man. It is never chalked.
No, it's not. It's not yet. They could turn around the split. Chalked. Who knows?
Well, yeah, if they just have an undefeated split, go and win Major 4.
Yeah, just win Major 4. No pressure.
No pressure.
But yeah, so now moving on to our team of the Major.
Yeah, I'm excited for us to reveal this.
Yeah,
do you want us to? How do you want us to do this? Do you want us to say who we nominated?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna reveal the graphic, and then we can kind of go down each player, how each of us, came together. All right, here I'll make it a little bigger here. This is our team of the Major. For Major 3, we got obviously the MVP from the Major, Shotzzy of OpTic Texas. We got Fellow from the Carolina Royal Ravens, Real from the Miami Heretics, and the hometown king, or whatever you want to call him, the Yapper, Toronto Ultras.
The Toronto Titan right there.
Yeah, so
that's the Toronto Titan.
So obviously, you could do this with 4 ARs, 4 SMGs. We usually, when we do our teams in the Major, we like to do it like an actual team. So we do 2 ARs, 2 SMGs. That's how we come to this. And we each pick 2. So I'll let you go down. Your players are first on there. So I'll let you break that down a little bit, and then I'll do mine.
So as you said, Shotzzy, I mean, if we were to make a team of the Major and not include Shotzzy, I think we would be chalked.
Our credibility would be out the window. Yeah.
Yeah, we would not be never chalked, right?
Right.
Man, I mean, Shotzzy played out of his mind. It was one of the best tournaments I've ever seen him play. Outside of his MVP season, his rookie year for Dallas Empire, this is the best I've seen Shotzzy look in a long time.
I mean, dude dropped what, like a 1.5 on Champ Sunday against other top 4 teams.
It was insane. I mean, Shotzzy was making plays. He was being smart. He was, and even besides that, he's being the teammate that we know Shotzzy can be, and he's hyping his guys up. Pred's being off. He's stepping up and still hyping up Pred. Okay. Same thing with Dash. If Dashy's off, he's going off. He's still hyping up Dashy.
Yeah.
And then those guys start making plays. That's a lot that people forget about Shotzzy is he's kind of a hype man at the same time, and he's one of the biggest in the league. Is especially when he's on fire and he's getting fired up, he's gonna fire you up.
Right.
And that's what's so likable about Shotzzy is he does that. And then on top of that, dropping a 1.5 and I don't know what his final stat line was over the course of the whole Major. I would assume.
I think it was like a 1.3 or something like that.
Even higher than I thought. I thought it was around a 1.2, but I mean, it's just clear as day. He needed to be on this team.
Yeah.
And then I chose Fellow because Fellow is what kept the Royal Ravens in as long as they did. He kept them in that. He helped keep them in that game against Seattle Surge. He was godlike on LAN, and we've kind of come to expect that from Fellow. But even this Major was even more so. He stepped up big time to help them, and I mean we're talking big numbers. I was watching. It was some big numbers, 1.5s all over the place, and I mean, I it was a no brainer to me. I did kind of flip flop between him and 04 a little bit, but Fellow was very crucial to his team's success at this major for making top 8. So
yeah, for sure.
Without him, they may not have gotten there.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Fellow, it's almost like if they could just bench him for online qualifiers and then sub him in for LAN, I almost feel like that would be like a genius strategy. Obviously, no player would be like down for that, I don't think. Like, hey, you're going to come join us, but only be on the online team. But I don't know. I feel like something like that would work with him because he's a beast on LAN, like you said. And I think he well-deserved placement for him. And another non-top 4, getting into my picks for this team of the major, another non-top 4 selection here is Real. First and foremost, he, like I said, ever since he got onto this Miami Heretic squad, he has very much proved himself to be their number 1 option, their top player. He has really turned things around for them. I mean, they were having a really rough stretch. They hadn't won a map. They hadn't won a map on LAN until this major. And that first map they actually pulled off against FaZe, which I don't think anyone expected. They did lose the series 3-1, but they beat them down pretty bad on that 6-star S&D. And I think, honestly, that matchup was a fatal flaw for FaZe at this major because every other team played them on it, if I'm not mistaken. Toronto, OpTic, and it did not go well for them. It clearly is a map that they're not, map and mode that they're not really good on, and I think Miami helped to expose that a little bit. And so, Real, I mean, every time you look at the Miami Heretic stat lines after their matches, he's in the green, even if all his other teammates are in the red. He's the real difference maker for that team, and a reason why I think they're going to actually be pretty competitive moving forward throughout the rest of the season. And then Scrap, I mean, again, almost like kind of the same deal as Real in the sense that it doesn't matter if all of his teammates are frying like they were on day 1, where like, oh my god, Envoy's frying, Toronto looks unstoppable, or on Champ Sunday, where all of a sudden, even in the 4-0 series where they get swept, I think he had like a .97 or something like that. Like, it wasn't exactly positive.
Yeah, his off days are some people's really good days.
But like, Insight had a .66, I think, against OpTic in the grand finals. So it's like, even when his teammates are massively struggling, he's still pulling his weight, doing everything he can. He went huge in that matchup against FaZe in the winners finals. He's continuing to dominate that matchup against Draza and FaZe on LAN. And I mean, again, he's one of, if not the top AR players in the game this year, and he's very much their best player, and
he's a Toronto Titan, man. I'm telling you,
right?
We need to coin this term or something, man. The Toronto Titan.
Yeah,
he's got the neck.
Toronto
for it,
Tyrannosaurus
man.
Rex. I don't know. Yeah,
he's just got the neck for being a Titan, right? He's a Titan.
He's a beast, yeah.
He's not Thanos, but he's the Thanos up in this bitch.
Yeah, I mean, dude's a shooter, bro.
Scrap is the real deal. And, looking at this team, if we were going in, I'd feel pretty confident with them placing top 4 at a major. All 4 of them on the team.
Yeah, I was going to say, on LAN, yeah, I could see that. Honestly, I think a Real and shotzzy SMG matchup would give people headaches.
Yeah,
holy shit.
I think that would suck. But a fellow Scrap duo, not too shabby.
Not the worst. Yeah,
not too shabby.
But yeah, no. So that's our team in the major. Again, each of these guys were played a huge role in their team's success. At the major specifically, and we're very confident that moving forward they will continue to be high impact players. So Congrats to these four. And now we're gonna.
They are what we call never chalked.
They are never chalks, team of the major from Major 3. And now we're gonna move into our post Major 3 pre Major or Stage 4 power rankings.
Yes.
I'll explain. The graphic might be a little confusing for some. I thought it made sense, but understandably. So the way we've got it broken up here, my picks for, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then my selections, my order is on the left side, and Chandler, his selections are on the right side. And if it's the one team in the middle, we both had them at that spot. So there's no question about that.
If you don't mind, I'll go first. And
I was gonna say start off with yours. And
I'm only gonna spend a couple minutes, but I'll explain this exactly why. So first and foremost, as you guys can see, we agreed majority of the time, basically.
Yeah.
And if you looked at it, they were kind of flip-flopped on the ones that we had.
I was going to say, literally, the only
1, 2, 6, 7, 10, 11.
Yeah, and they're just flipped. Like, nothing was like, you had a person at 8, and I had someone at 12 or something like that.
So, that's kind of one of the reasons why we designed the power rankings this way. But we wanted you guys to just kind of get I also see that Drew and I don't always agree. Okay.
Yes.
Like I feel like everybody thinks Drew, you and I always agree, Drew, but we really don't. Okay, so I put Optic at 1. They're major champs. I have always been the type that if you win an event, you're the number 1 team going into the next event. Usually, like 99% of the time. Okay.
Yeah.
But going into it, I have FaZe at 2, and everybody's like, "Oh, they placed 3rd." Well, FaZe lost a Game 5 round 11 to Optic, who went on to 4-0 Toronto, and I almost have a feeling that FaZe might have done that to Toronto coming out if they had won that.
Well, not to mention they lost to Toronto in 5 as well. Like they took map 5 twice to get them out of the tournament.
Yeah, and I might be confused that it might have been round 11 map 5 for Toronto too, and so they arguably should have been in winner's bracket.
I think it was for Toronto. I don't think it went round 11 against Optic.
It was probably 10.
It was,
Yeah, it's like 10 or 9. I think it was 6-4. But either way, it was map 5 for both of those teams. And so FaZe deserves their credit at number 2. And I definitely debated them at number 1, by the way.
Yeah.
But I lean to Optic just because of how dominant they looked against Toronto. Toronto is our clear cut, sorry, I can't speak. Clear cut number 3 team. And they have the potential to take down either one of our top 2 teams. I think, especially when Envoy's on it.
Yeah.
NYSL, we mentioned, as some of the casters did, some of the other people well known in the team. They're kind of the gatekeepers of top 4. And that's basically it. They're 4 and nothing else. And the only reason why they are number 4 is because I feel Seattle at number 5 just kind of threw that match. I think Seattle should be there at number 4. I think they're the better team, and I think they will show that they are the better team come Major 4 qualifiers, come Major 4. Unless subliners make some sort of change and it benefits them. I don't see them making a change that truly benefits them. It's just more of like, can Hydra keep bailing you out?
Yeah, or can Kismet kind of find form?
Yeah,
I think that's the other thing.
If Kismet finds form, that's scary. That would be very scary.
Yeah.
Especially for the top 3, I would think, if Kismet finds form. And it would be very scary for the rest of the 8 because that means they don't have a way to break into the top 4, really, unless you just surprise one of them. Surge, I think, are clear-cut top 5. We both agreed with it. They looked good online. They looked good on LAN. Kind of had a tough schedule, and they looked impressive doing so.
Well, and again, they towards the beginning of the year, again, I think people quickly forget we had them as, or a lot of people had them as like a top 2 team during stage 1
Yeah, when it
qualifiers.
was Abuza on the SMG
Yeah.
and you had Varsity is on the AR, and we were still debating
And
that they
then,
might be the
you
second best
know,
team in the game.
after Major 1, they had to do a lot of tweaking of their roster. Hook has been thrust into like this leadership IGL role, which is very new
Right.
for him. And so it took them a little bit to kind of get things figured out after all the roster shuffling, but now that the dust has settled a little bit, I like we obviously both agree that they're not far behind NYSL.
They're not. They're not. And especially if Hook learns how to truly play as an IGL, like if he can play at his potential. If he plays at his potential, it's scary for the league, but especially for top 4 like NYSL, if Hook is playing at his potential and is IGLing at the same time, they're in trouble.
Yep.
Like that top 4 spot is in trouble. Not in terms of like going in the champs, but it's like you might have to match up against Surge round 1 at champs potentially. That's scary.
Yeah.
And then you depending on who you play after that. But I put Carolina Royal Ravens at 6. I did that because I think they're a strong LAN team. No matter what, you know, they're probably going to go 3 and 4. This next split, we'll get into it here in a little bit. But they're a really strong LAN team. I can see them getting top 8, top 6 placement again, with potential to get top 4 depending on who they play. But yeah, that's why I put them there. Heretics,
Yep.
kind of the same thing. They're a very good online team, so I could see them winning like 5 games or so. And then kind of they just showed up on LAN randomly after going 0 and 12, was it?
0 and 6 map count because they got
No,
or
because that was one time.
because they were in winners bracket. Yeah, you're right. Shit. Yeah.
They did it twice. So,
yeah, they were 0 and 12 or something like that.
It was something. And
it was
then
bad.
You go on, yeah, and then you go on. You beat an LAT team that looked very impressive. That we are finding out was an onliner team.
Yeah.
And then you also won a map on OpTic, right? Am I right about that?
Who?
Heretics.
They did. They won both against FaZe and OpTic. They took 6-star S&D.
Yeah, that's scary. Okay, if a team is winning the S&D off of you, and somehow finds a way to win a respawn, and you're forced to map 5, and you're having to play a team that might be really good at S&D, that's scary.
Yep. The key for them is going to be expanding their S&D map pool, because obviously right now, even if I'm FaZe, you know, a team where you think like, oh, they can beat anybody, if I'm going up against Heretics, insta banning 6-star S&D, because they seem to have that shit in the bag.
Yeah, and here's the thing too: is that it would be very scary if they learn how to become a control team somehow, and then you're looking at the opportunity of a Neslo.
Yep.
Shout out Neslo, by the way.
Shout out Neslo.
But then I have LAT at 8 because they look great online, terrible on LAN. I have LAG at number 9 because they look great online, terrible on LAN. They
actually started the year the opposite, though, was the funny part.
They did. But
they were pretty good on LAN, but not
now
really.
it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Rocker. They need to figure out their shit. That's why they're at number 10.
Yep.
11 for Las Vegas Legion. Bring in Purge, and you're right back up to that 5 or 6 spot. Do it, please.
It really seems like a simple fix.
Do it for Nero. Do it for Attach. Do it for Geo. They need this man back. Please bring Purge back.
Yeah.
And then, Boston at 12.
Boston at 12.
Yeah. Boston's at 12.
But yeah, and so to quickly, rehash mine, I'm not gonna go over the ones where we obviously completely agreed on it. Yeah. I know it might be a little controversial to go FaZe at number 1, even though they got 3rd at the major. They obviously lost head-to-head against both OpTic and Toronto at the major. I just think it's to not put too much emphasis on the outcome of the major specifically. Again, it took OpTic 5 maps, it took Toronto 5 maps. OpTic got their first win against FaZe this whole season. I think they're like 1-6 versus them now or something like that. So until we see a little more consistency out of OpTic being able to beat atlfaze, both online and LAN, that's why I still have FaZe at the top. But, I mean, OpTic definitely have hit a form that if they can maintain it, they're right there neck and neck with them. So that's the only reason I have that flip-flopped. I know it might be surprising to have Heretics over Carolina. You'd think I'd be a little more biased and go with Carolina over Miami. But I don't know. Something just really stood out to me with Miami at this split. Again, I think picking up those maps against both FaZe and OpTic was really impressive to me. Real's been, a stud for them. And the thing for them is if they can just maintain their performance on LAN that they did at Major 3 and do it at Major 4, I don't question their ability to get map wins against the bottom 8 or even be competitive against some of the top 4 online. So that's the only reason I have them ahead. Because Carolina, they're still a little questionable online. It has gotten better since they've all started playing out of the same facility / apartment, whatever it is. So we need to see if that continues. And then Vegas and Rocker, to me, it was as simple as I think both of them are not playing well right now. Vegas is a very simple change away from being for sure better than Rocker is right now. I think Rocker, to fix their roster and be better than anyone but the definitively worst team, they've got a few things they got to think about because they just clearly have not been the same team that they were at Major 1. Not even close to it. But that's our power rankings following the Major and going into these qualifiers. So it's going to be very interesting to see how all the teams perform, and where this ends up, what it ends up looking like following this.
I have another quick little exercise for us to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's name the bottom 4 teams that we would want to see at champs.
The bottom 8 teams we want to see at champs?
No, bottom 4 because only 8 teams go to champs.
Oh, okay.
Top four are basically shooting to make it. So
yes, okay. So you're saying between LAG, Vegas, Rocker, and Boston?
Oh no, I meant the bottom 8 teams, but just who would make up the bottom 4, like 5 through 8. Yeah.
Yes. So assuming the top 4 are in, I mean, I think we definitely want Seattle and Carolina. I think they've been the most consistent on LAN. And I think that's where you have to put the most emphasis. You don't want a team that's done most of their solid performances online because champs is obviously a LAN event. So I think at least for certain, no matter 5 or 6, I definitely want Seattle and Carolina.
Yep.
After that, it gets a little weird.
Yeah. I definitely want Seattle and Carolina. I would personally like to see LAT make it, 1 for viewership, but 2 because I think they have a lot of potential over there, and especially with Ghosty, it'd be nice to see Ghosty there.
Yeah.
My last one, and this might be controversial, but I would love to see the Vegas Legion there. They looked so good, and they looked like such a bona fide number 5 team that could overtake NYSL when they had Purge. Vegas Legion, I'm looking at you now. Bring Purge back. And
free Purge.
Free Purge. Bring Purge back. It helped every single one of your team members. Bring him back.
I mean, literally, shit went downhill.
And maybe even make some noise there. No matter who you play. No matter who you play, you might be able to make some noise. Yeah. So I would love to see Vegas Legion there. If they were to even grab that 8 spot.
Yep. So I guess to give my take on the 7 and 8, because mine might be a little different, and not necessarily like 1 and 7, 1 and 8, just the last 2, I guess. For me, it all depends on if they make a roster change. If LA does what I said and basically goes and becomes the FC Black plus Ghosty, I 100% want to see them at Champs because those FC Black guys have performed at every single Challengers Open. We obviously know what Ghosty's capable of, whether it's LAN or online. I think that team would be super competitive, despite what they end up going into Champs seeded as. So if they make that change, I want to see them there. If not, and Miami can maintain their performance on LAN at Major 4, I'd rather see them. Because I think they would be more exciting to watch. Because LA literally has only beaten Boston on LAN, and that's not going to get you very far.
That's not impressive.
And then I agree. My final team that I'd want to see is Vegas. I want to see Attach playing at Champs. I want to see Vegas finally play at Champs. They were so close to making it last year and then just barely missed it at the end of the season, missed the cutoff. It would be great to see that team, again, just make the freaking... It's not even making a roster change. It's like just reverting back to what you already had that at the time was working quite well. Yeah. And then you just started to make changes for God knows what reason. So yeah, I would say Vegas is the final team there. I don't care to see LAG, don't care to see Minnesota, and don't care to see Boston. Not that they have much of a chance anyways.
So I know we're running out of time a little bit. I know we had still a couple things to talk about. So I'm going to let you choose our final topic here, Drew, because you and I had some things we wanted to touch, but we just had some fun today.
Yeah, we did.
With Never Chalked, with our power rankings, with our team of the major, and so what do you want to get into? You want to go into?
I'd say we go into the news we got today. I think it's hard not to.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So unless you've been living under a rock, haven't been scrolling on Twitter or wherever, obviously we got the official announcement of the new Call of Duty title. It was very strategically planned by Treyarch, Activision, whoever you want to give credit to, that not even less than 24 hours after the competitor X Defiant released, they started rolling out some teasers, and people basically had an idea of what it was going to end up being, but we didn't know for certain. The rumor was that it was going to be called Black Ops Gulf War because it's a continuation off of Cold War, and they thought they'd go that route because we didn't technically have a Black Ops 5, but no, they went with Black Ops 6. They've been doing all this like IRL freaking. They got a van driving around, a news van driving around in New York City that says "The truth lies." That's been like the what do you call it? That's been like the slogan, if you will, for this new game. Yeah. I mean, they've been putting up posters in London and New York City, putting newspaper articles. Like, they've been going all out with the IRL, like, marketing for this. And then, of course, we found out that, or we actually knew that we were going to get a Call of Duty reveal following the Xbox Game Showcase, as obviously Microsoft recently acquired Activision, but we weren't for sure what the game was going to be called. Now we know, so we'll be getting a Black Ops 6 Direct on June 9th. I assume that's when we're going to get our first look at gameplay and whatnot. But it's super exciting. I mean, this game's been in development for 4 years. It's the first time a Treyarch game has been in a full dev cycle since Black Ops 3, which is really hard to believe. But Black Ops 4, a lot of that development got derailed because they were forced to put resources into making Blackout, which didn't end up going further than a year anyways. And then Cold War wasn't even supposed to be their year. That was supposed to be a Sledgehammer game. And they were like thrust in and had to save the day and give us a half-decent game.
People forget about that. And like, they ended up making still a really good game.
Right.
Despite that.
So, I'm thrilled, man. I mean,
I am too.
It's gonna be set in like the 90s, early 2000s. It appears. I don't. Obviously, we don't know much as far as what the CDL season's gonna look like. That's gonna be much later. But I'm thrilled. Anytime it's a Black Ops game, there's just a certain level of excitement that comes with it.
Yeah. I would say I truly started competing, like playing very competitively for COD in Black Ops 2. And Treyarch games, they're just the best, man. There's just nothing like it. I'm very excited about it. And, if everybody's like me, typically their favorite game is a Black Ops franchise game.
100%.
And outside of the original MW2, probably. And with the small exception of some people who liked the original MW3. But man, there was just nothing like the Black Ops games. They know what they're doing over there at Treyarch, and so I'm just really excited about it. Really excited about it, man. But we're gonna call it a night, call it a day. Whatever time of day you're listening to this, we're about to upload this on YouTube. And we got some more surprises coming. We do. All sorts of things coming. Next time we go live, we will be talking about the competitive integrity of the league. I know I hinted about that last time when we went live, but now this time, the people who you guys are listening on YouTube, we will be talking about the competitive integrity, and we'll talk a little bit more about OpTic winning champs and what it took, or not champs, sorry.
Major 3.
Major 3. Dang, spoiler alert! I just gave away the script.
Yeah, script. Bad. Whoa!
Did I just leak the script?
Low key.
No, but OpTic winning Major 3, the competitive integrity of the scene at this point, and then I'm sure we're going to talk about the state of new orgs potentially coming out.
I was gonna say there should be some roster changes by the time we record.
A lot of roster changes. So be sure to tune in next time to listen to all of that. Check us out on Twitter, TGE Brand, and you will be able to see the next time we will be going live for Never Chalked. I'm your co-host, Volts.
That's right, and I'm your co-host, Pescaro DB.
Your host. Don't be modest. You're the host.
All right,
man.
I guess I'm the host.
Main man of the show.
All right.
But we will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, sir. Peace out.